In this lesson, I'm going to show you how to take the Camera Raw's default settings and change them to suit your specific camera. So if you've got a load of shots taken at the same time on the same camera, you can then tweak one, adjust the colors and tones, and those changes will automatically be applied to the other photographs in the series. So we'll start off by opening number 29, which you'll find on your disk, and that's a shot of a flower which will automatically open up in the Camera Raw editor. Now I've left a little bit of space around the edge of my Photoshop Raw editor because we'll need to see pop-up menus like this that appear to the side of the Camera Raw editor. Now one way to make changes quickly is to use camera profiles, and you can find those in the Camera Calibration tab. If you click here, you'll notice we've got Adobe Standard, but there's other profiles like Adobe Camera Raw 4.4, and if I click on that, you can see it's changing the colors and tones instantly. There's also profiles that belong to the specific camera that we've used, and Photoshop's recognizing that camera, and it's giving us some of the settings that we could have got in the camera, like camera landscape, which changes the shot quite dramatically, or camera neutral, which makes a less processed looking shot. And we can then choose a profile like that and then begin to work on exposure changes. Let's just brighten it up a little bit. And let's boost the color as well by dragging vibrance to the right, and you can see we've got much more vivid looking colors, and we can warm up the temperature too to create a warmer looking shot because it was slightly cold. So there's the before, slightly underexposed and dull and cold, and there's the more vibrant after version. So we used one of the initial camera profiles as a springboard and then continued editing manually to suit our shot's particular color and tonal correction needs. And as we're going to be editing photographs taken in the same location, we can set up the color settings and the tonal settings as the raw defaults, and that will apply them instantly to our other photographs. And to do that, click here, you'll get this little pop-up window, and you can choose Save New Camera Raw Defaults. So we've now got our own selection. We can click Done to close this image, and if we open up one of the new photographs, let me just find the second one in the collection, drag that here, that will open up in the Camera Raw editor. And you can see it's remembered the vibrance setting that we used before, and it's also remembered the color temperature tweaks and the exposure tweak as well. So this is a great starting point for us to then continue editing this shot. If you want to go back to the default settings, you can always click here and it will go back to Photoshop's standard default Camera Raw settings. But since we've created our own version, we can then carry on editing quite happily like so. So let me just prove that we've changed the Camera Raw defaults by making a dramatic adjustment of the temperature. Let's just drag that down to something really cold, and if we want to then change it back to our custom Camera Raw defaults, just click here, go to Camera Raw defaults, and it will remember the high color temperature we gave it to start with. So these are all the settings that we created in our first image, and they've been automatically applied to the second. So we can now then use these settings as a springboard and then tweak this particular shot's needs to get it looking its best. So once you've applied the customized Camera Raw defaults to change the vibrancy and the exposure and the color temperature, you can then grab something like the crop tool and improve the composition. If we go to 1:1, that gives us a square crop. We can then click and drag to select the flower and lose some of the distracting leaves at the edge there. You can even click outside the area and rotate it slightly to alter the angle of the particular stalk there at the bottom left. So click Open Image to see the cropped version of the shot, and here is our edited image. Let's open up shot 31, and as we've customized our default settings, we've automatically boosted the color and tweaked the tones and the color temperature. You can then do things like rotate the shot and fine-tune it for its particular needs. Let's take that crop tool again, and let's get rid of some of the image and create a nice square crop. To straighten this particular stalk, let's just drag so it's running parallel with the edge of the frame, and then click Open Image to see our cropped and edited shot. So you can see we're much quicker at editing because we don't have to worry about vibrance, exposure, or color temperature. And finally, here's shot 32 with the same settings that we created using the Camera Raw defaults. And of course, when you've finished editing a batch of shots from a particular shoot, you may want to restore the Camera Raw defaults to their original factory settings. So click here to reset Camera Raw defaults, and you can see there we've zeroed exposure and vibrance, and you can start editing from scratch. But as I do want this shot to look more vibrant and more correctly exposed, those default settings that we tweaked earlier will do just nicely, and you can go to Previous Conversion and up they pop. So by changing the Camera Raw editor's defaults, you can make changes quickly and easily, and in the next movie I'm going to show you some other ways to edit multiple photographs.